Yo, how's it going, everybody? It's me, Dustin Coyle. You're tuned in again to Intelligent Thoughts. This is an episode of the NBA Today for Friday, April 19th, 2019. The last show was just 2 days ago, so we're going to have a slight recap section here. I think about 6 games in the NBA. We're going to talk James Harden. We're going to talk Kevin Durant. We're going to talk Dame Lillard and Russell Westbrook. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, the missing persons report for Ben Simmons from game, 2? Or was it 1? Yeah, 2 of last week. Before we do that, I want to say to everybody, go to Spreaker.com/Intelligent Thoughts or wherever you can find podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts yourself. Go ahead and subscribe, rate and review the show. Send out any love there. And then check out the page on Facebook, Intelligent Thoughts. Also on Instagram at Intelligent B Thoughts. That's the word B in between Intelligent Thoughts. And on Twitter at Intelligent Tho1. It's Intelligent THO and the number 1. All of that's pretty good material there. A lot more stuff other than just the podcast. So everybody, get your beers out. Get your vodka sodas out. Whatever it is you need here. Let's talk some NBA, but before we do that, let's listen to some music. Let's take this shit back to Wednesday night. A good goddamn game or series of games there in the NBA. Let's stop the music there. Wednesday marked the end of the Game 2s throughout the NBA. We'll start in Boston. How about this? The Indiana Pacers, once again, a jump out to a lead. Let's see. Well, they were losing by halftime, but at the end of the third quarter, the Pacers are up by 11 due to a 29-point outburst there in the third quarter, giving up just 16 to the Celtics in that period. And it really took till late in the fourth quarter, actually, for the Boston Celtics to really recap. They come back. Kyrie Irving scores 37 points. I think like 12 or even more, 15 or something like that actually came in the fourth quarter for Kyrie Irving. They get the win, 99-91. They go up 2-0 in the series. This one was at home, but both these games, the Pacers led either at halftime or at the end of the third quarter and were not able to sustain in the fourth. The Pacers' offensive struggles again in crunch time came to full effect here. They scored just 12 points in the fourth quarter to the Celtics 31, a 19-point difference there in favor of Boston, and that's where you get the 8-point victory. A huge game for Kyrie, big game for Jason Tatum, especially in the fourth, and Gordon Hayward as well. Tatum finishes with 26 points, 3 for 6 from downtown, including a big 3 at the end, pretty much to seal it. Gordon Hayward, on just 7 shots, finishes with 13 points, including a couple buckets in the fourth as well for him. Other than that, not a lot of bright spots. The leading scorer for Boston, other than that, would be Jaylen Brown with 6 points in 27 minutes on 6 shots. Everybody else under that, Kyrie with the big night, 37 points, 6 for 10 from downtown, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. The catalyst all game long. I think he had most of those points. He had like 20-something in the first half. Then a pretty small third quarter, and then came back explosive in the fourth. As I said, a pretty tough offensive night overall, 91 points. That's still 17 more than they had in Game 1. But then a tough fourth quarter for the Indiana Pacers. They're led in scoring by Bojan Bogdanovic once again. 21 shots, only nets him 23 points, though. 4 for 8 from downtown. That's pretty good. He's going to add 8 rebounds there. Not enough in crunch time, though. Obviously, they score, just 12 points in the fourth quarter. And he's their best scorer. It's proving, Tyreek Evans played okay in the fourth quarter. 13 points for him, 3 for 4 from downtown, 5 for 9. You'd think, given that he scored, I think, 20 points a game last year, that he might be able to be more productive as a scorer. At least ball handling and stuff like that, getting to the basket, making some plays. But yeah, didn't really work out that well. The third leading scorer, Thaddeus Young, 15 points, just 6 rebounds for him, though, 1 for 5 from downtown. Boston takes the 2-0 series lead and will be heading back to Indiana. And I saw a statistic that I think the Boston Celtics are 37-1 when having a 2-0 series lead, and the Indiana Pacers are 0-6 when being down 0-2 historically for each franchise. All right, we fly off to Milwaukee. This game, not much to talk about. The Pistons, I guess, with a 1-point lead at halftime, they end up blowing it huge, just 17 points to 35 for the Bucks in the third quarter. Giannis scores 13 of his 26 points there in the third quarter, and the Milwaukee Bucks beat the Detroit Pistons 120-99. In this game, once again, Blake Griffin did not play. I remember saying that there was a possibility that he was going to. He didn't, and it proved to be a bit of a problem offensively for Detroit, especially there in the third. Leading the way, actually, in scoring for the Milwaukee Bucks was Eric Bledsoe. He had a pretty damn good game, 27 points, 3 for 8 from downtown. 6 assists for him, 4 rebounds, good all-around game for him. Giannis with the 26 and 12 rebounds to go with that. And then how about Chris Middleton? 24 points, 8 assists. A bit of a facilitator there. Chris Middleton was here in Game 2. Just 7 for 15 shooting. Just 15 shots for 28 points overall for Chris Middleton. And how about Pat Connaughton off the bench in 31 minutes? He goes 8 for 10 from the field, 2 for 3 from downtown, and he finishes with 18 points and 9 rebounds in what turns out to be the blowout victory. For the Detroit Pistons, they're led in scoring by Luke Kennard, this time in the starting lineup. Starting at point guard here, he gets 19 points, just 2 assists, not the most efficient point guard of all time, but 6 for 13 shooting, 4 for 6 from downtown in 35 minutes there for Luke Kennard. How about Reggie Jackson? Well, I guess Luke Kennard might have been the shooting guard. They ran a 3-guard lineup. Reggie Jackson gets 8 assists. There you go. That makes more sense. 18 points for him, 7 for 16 shooting. A pretty rough night from the field for him. And Andre Drummond, 18 points, 16 rebounds on 8 for 15 from the field. Milwaukee takes a 2-0 lead in this one. They're going to be obviously going back to Detroit. Have won both games, I think, by an average of like 26.5 points. The future for Blake Griffin is obviously very much uncertain at this point. Not only just in the future with the team, but for these next couple of games, he's going to have to probably play in Game 3. If they go down 0-3, it's going to be almost impossible that they're actually going to win this series. So I would expect to see Blake out there for the third game of the series. All right, in the last game of the night in the NBA, the Houston Rockets at home do the dirt again. James Harden with a 32-point, 13 rebound, 10 assists, triple-double after being up by 20 in the first quarter. Huge output. The Houston Rockets beat the Utah Jazz 118-98. Harden, huge performance. Only had to play 33 minutes, not the most. 32 points for him, 6 for 13 from beyond the three-point line. Obviously, the triple-double was there. Massive game for James Harden. Complete destruction. Looked unstoppable. The Utah Jazz, who had the number one defense, I believe, in the regular season, have been completely unable to stop James Harden in any capacity. And on the flip side, Houston's defense has actually held Utah under 100 points both games, I'm pretty sure. Gobert, not really able to get going. Donovan Mitchell, the Houston defense on Donovan Mitchell has been pretty significant. So, I mean, it's been a rough one here. As far as Houston goes, though, Chris Paul also chips in, just 1 for 6 from downtown, but 5 for 11 overall, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists for him, and then 16 points for each P.J. Tucker, who makes 4 threes, and Eric Gordon, who makes 3 threes. Capella with just 7 points, but 10 rebounds, 3 for 4 shooting. Overall efficient day. You get 21 minutes out of both Danuel House and Austin Rivers off the bench. Both of them give you 8 points. Nothing too impressive there, but they do eat up a lot of time where you don't have to have Chris Paul out there, Capella out there, Harden out there, obviously Gordon. And as far as Utah is concerned, I kind of mentioned Donovan Mitchell, 11 points on 5 for 19 shooting. He did have 6 assists, though, but 1 for 8 from downtown. One of the worst games, at least of Donovan Mitchell's playoff career. They are led in scoring by Ricky Rubio randomly. 17 points, 9 assists. Takes him 17 shots to get there, though. And then Royce O'Neal off the bench, 7 for 10 shooting, 3 for 6 from downtown. He also finishes with 17 points. A tough road now for Utah. Obviously, they have a really nice home court advantage most of the time. So, I mean, that'll be really the only hope for Utah, who everybody thought was going to be the toughest matchup of the 5 through 8 seeds in the West. Houston, throughout the first 2 games, both games by double digits, both games looked unstoppable. Both games had the better defense by a long, long margin. We'll see how things change, but Donovan Mitchell has been unable to do anything. Rudy Gobert, 11 points, 12 rebounds for him, but just 11 points, not really a factor in the game. So you gotta think that this is certainly trending towards Houston, but we'll see in Game 3. All right, so back to yesterday now. 3 Game 3s in this one. We're going to start in Brooklyn, where Joel Embiid does not play with knee soreness, the same knee soreness that had kept him out at the end of the regular season and kind of limited his minutes in Games 1 and 2 to the 20 to 25 range. Turns out it doesn't really matter, though, in this one. The missing poster for Ben Simmons about being just average, and the Jared Dudley comment about being just average. He comes back without even shooting the ball, really, without even really taking any jump shots, dominates the game. Ben Simmons scores 31 points on 11 for 13 shooting. A little less than the same amount of shots as Greg Monroe got, and Greg Monroe scored 9. The same amount of shots as Jimmy Butler got, and Jimmy Butler scored 16. 31 points, 9 assists, 4 rebounds, misses just 2 shots, completely dominates the game. And the Sixers win on the road, 131-115 in Brooklyn. They've now won the last 2 games of the series, and they lead the series 2-1 after the real, what seemed like an almost devastating loss there in Game 1. J.J. Redick plays really well, 5 for 9 from downtown. He finishes with 26 points. How about Tobias Harris, who scored just 6 points in the first game? He bounces back, 6 for 6 from downtown, 29 points for him, 16 rebounds, helping out the cause there. I mentioned Greg Monroe. He fills in randomly, completely randomly, for Joel Embiid. You would have thought that would have been either Bolden or Boban Marjanovic getting those minutes. Bolden played just 2 minutes in this game. Monroe 25. But Monroe gives you 9 points, 13 rebounds on 13 shots. Not the best. You might want to look at Boban moving forward. He finishes with 14 points in 18 minutes. Just 3 for 5 from the field. 8 rebounds. A lot of free throws there. But he fouled out, actually. Jeez. He fouled out in 18 minutes. All right. Big win there for Philadelphia, though. As far as Brooklyn is concerned, D'Angelo Russell, he leads the way in the scoring category. 26 points for him. Takes him 26 shots to get there, though, and just 2 for 9 from downtown. Only 3 assists. Not the best game out of your point guard. And then how about Caris LeVert? Looking close to his old self. Off the bench in 28 minutes, he gives you 26 points and 7 rebounds, 10 for 17 shooting, and 3 for 8 from 3 range. At this point, I mean, honestly, as good as Brooklyn looked in Game 1, you got to think that this series is probably pretty close to over. I actually made a little bit of money on this game and the Boston game from Wednesday night.